Here's a fun project which takes only 2 hours to make. These are some of the steps involved. We're going to get started by understanding a little bit about the metals, that they have very different properties. We're going to see how to heat those metals up and see what it takes to melt them down. We're going to use our torch a little bit. And once we get started, the metals come in all kinds of forms. We have sheet metal, we have wires. They come in many, many different thicknesses. So there's lots of possibilities there. So I'm going to be taking 2 small pieces, 1 piece of silver and 1 piece of copper. I've cut them down to about the same size, and we're going to see what happens to them on this brick. So I'm going to come in now and I'm going to gently warm the pieces up. You can see they're quite close together. The hottest part of the flame is right at the very tip of the blue area. You notice I have my glasses on, very important. Now the 2 pieces are getting very warm, they're heating up very nicely, and the silver is beginning to melt. We can see it when it melts because it gets very shiny. The copper is going to melt slower than the silver. It takes a lot more heat to melt a piece of copper. So as we are continuing to heat this metal up, you're going to see that because they have different properties, even though I'm heating them both at the same temperature, the different properties will cause one to melt faster than the other. And then I want you to look and see how it melts. First, it's very red and shiny. When you see it getting very shiny, you see how it goes into a little lump. Did you see that? And you see that one gets into a lump much faster than the other. The other is going to get into a lump now. There we go. It takes copper a lot longer to heat and to melt. So we're now going to pick this up with tweezers and pop it into the water, and let's let that cool down just a little. There's a small piece here I can pick up, and there's a little bit here. You just got to be very careful at all times to remember the heat, to remember also that the tip of this tool gets very, very hot. And this is hot, but underneath it's absolutely cold. Great. So now I have a beautiful little silver piece, and I also have a little copper piece. The copper looks like it has a lot of black on it. The black is oxidization that occurs from the heating of the metal. So our next step, once we've heated it up, is to put it in a little bit of acid. We call it pickling compound, and that will remove all of the black. Now we've got a big piece of metal here, copper metal, quite a thick piece. It's quite hard. The more you manipulate metal, the harder it gets. It work hardens. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to make the metal softer, and that is by annealing. Anneal it means making it soft to then be able to bend and shape it. We're going to take our torch again, and we're going to heat it up, and annealing means bringing the metal to a red hot state. What we want is we want to get it to a nice glowing red color, and keep heating it consistently. Get the whole piece to be glowing red. So you have to constantly move your torch over it. What we're looking for is not too shiny, we're looking for red hot, and that is sufficient for annealing. We never want to overheat the metal. So I'm going to pick that up with this, and I'm going to put it straight into the water. Now, as we look at that, we'll take it out of the water now. It's quite cold. You can see how black the surface has become. But now the metal is much softer. And every time I bend it, I'm work hardening it again. I'm making it harder. So we can anneal it again. I'm going to anneal it before I put it through the rolling mill. And when I put it through the rolling mill, you'll see we can hammer it flat and we can roll it, make it thinner to do something more interesting with this one. Good. So, just take a piece of paper and dry it. And because of the oxidization that has occurred, we're going to put this one into the pickling compound as well. So when you're going to use pickling acid, you've got to remember that you cannot put steel into this kind of acid. It will contaminate the acid. So any non-ferrous metal, silver is okay, copper is okay. You can see the black around the copper there. Once we put that in, all of the black will be gone. Don't throw it in, just let it drop in very gently. 1 and 2, try not to splash it. And then we just leave it in there for about 10 minutes would be sufficient. So I'm going to take a piece of paper. There we go. And you can see how both pieces are nice and clean. And the other piece is also nice and clean. Now, one last thing I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to take a brass brush and I'm going to brush it with a brush.